Go ahead, Tanner.
Oh, and we're live again. Welcome back, everyone, to the HVAC 2.0 show. Got a little gang with us today. We got Jason, Reedy, and T.
Are we live?
Yes, we are
Yes.
live.
Okay.
How's everybody doing?
Awesome.
Well,
Happy New Year.
yeah.
Happy
Happy New
New
Year,
Year to you
everyone.
guys.
Merry Christmas.
I guess to start with, I do kind of have a funny one that I thought we might kind of banter about. So, my truck has now become locally fairly famous. There's a town that's close by that has a pretty strong online media outlet called Coleman Daily. The city is Coleman, and someone snapped a picture of my truck on the way. I really don't even know when this picture was taken, honestly, uh, but it's been causing a stir, to say the least. And which, if it wasn't showing everybody's names, I would just kind of flip through some of these hilarious comments. But of course, if you can
Oh, read
imagine,
them.
yeah, you can imagine a lot of them. I was flipping through, just kind of reading off some of them. Really, the funny thing is the amount of people upset at me putting a ladder on a rack on the roof is quite funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so many people like let me see if I can find an exact comment that way, if this were to kind of get out a little bit and people's wondering, am I talking shit about you? And I read off your comment verbatim, you'll know, yes, I am talking shit about you.
We're
Uh,
making fun of you.
yeah, there's one right here. A real truck has a bed to put the ladder in. It's like,
Really?
yeah, I mean, I guess
Okay.
that's the thing. I guess that's really, see, everyone thought that a defining characteristics of a truck is something that has a bed, and is you do work stuff. No, it's actually if you can haul a ladder in the bed. Having the bed doesn't qualify. You got to have a ladder in the bed. And if you think you're going to be slick and you think you're going to be smart and put the ladder on a rack so you can free up more bed space, sorry, but you're not actually driving a truck. Anyone that was wondering, that's just the case. Um, there was which I mean, which anytime a Cybertruck is around Coleman Daly's picking it up, and that becomes the hot topic that people talk about. Uh, so I already knew kind of what to expect, but I was actually kind of surprised the amount of people uh, like fighting back against the other morons that was saying dumb. Actually, before I tangent, uh, there was another funny one. I actually had somebody that was arguing with me on how much my insurance cost, which I thought was kind of funny.
Okay.
Because there was one that was like, I bet the insurance eats into the company's profits. And I was like, I replied to that comment, and this is on my personal profile. And I'm like, I mean, it cost about $90. And I kind of gave like a really short breakdown of like, here's actually why it costs way less than a alternative option to this truck. And then this lady is like, that thing don't cost $90 a month. It's not a 2010 Nissan Altima. And I was just like, you're right. I was lying. My insurance company is actually, they don't know what's going on, and they're just giving me uh, a really low rate.
Because they're
They're giving,
stupid.
yeah, they're giving me the Nissan Altima rate. That's what's actually going on. Uh, so that was,
I told him this was a Nissan Altima.
yeah. I think my reply was it identifies as a Nissan Altima. That's how I get such low rates. Um, but but yeah,
And by the way, when you have a truck, this is what's in the bed, which is why you can't
yeah,
put a ladder in the bed.
yeah. I mean, you can. It's just you're not going to be able to haul as much stuff in the bed. Kind of how trucks work. Another
Yeah.
one where
I drive
somebody's
a
like, well,
s- I drive a service truck, and I've got ladders on the ladder rack. That's where it's supposed to be.
well, I hate to break it to you, but that's not a truck, sir. I don't know what it is, but it's not a truck. Here's
It's
another one. It's
something
like, well,
else if it's got a ladder
yeah,
rack.
yeah. It's like, well, what's the point of calling it a truck if you have to strap a ladder on top? And there was like it wasn't this like that statement's dumb. It's just the fact that there were so many just upset with the placement of the ladder.
Yeah,
It was
I read a
funny.
few of them. I think I couldn't access it from the Electrify Everything, but I think Nate put a link to it, and I could get to it from there and
Oh
read
yeah,
some of the comments, and
yeah.
they're pretty funny.
Which I will say, probably the most or the best funny comment that I seen that was a jab at me, but I still liked it, was gay bars got to have HVAC work done too.
That's a good one. That is so some of the people
Yeah,
have a sense of humor and the rest of them are just rigid libtards.
yeah, yeah.
So
But
and this is also what a ladder
well, somebody needs to go
on
leave a note
and it's yellow
saying that.
too. Look,
Yeah, somebody needs to tell them that's not a truck.
that must not be a truck.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's been the fun weekend bickering back. Well, I mean, there wasn't really much bickering on my end. There was one dude that was just going hard against these people, and it was hilarious to watch because he was he just just like, I mean, going hard at him. Like there was one, I forgot, there was one dude, they were going back and forth for like 50 comments, just back and forth going at it. And this one dude's calling him poor. He's like, yeah, it sounds like a poor person thing to say. And just all the things. It was quite funny to see.
Wow. So you didn't even have to go in there and
Oh no,
explain. Other people were so they were
no.
already. All you have to do is post the picture, and you get two sides.
Oh yeah,
One and yeah.
yeah.
You just get to watch.
No such thing as bad publicity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you know, I'm trying to remember. I think it was. I seen it somewhere here recently. Or I read it in a book. It might have been in Alex Hermosi's advertising $100 million leads book or something. But it's like step one being people have to know you exist, and it's a good way. I feel like it was a pretty strong start because
So
there is
that
a
truck
lot of.
is actually going to be a good marketing plan.
Oh yeah. Oh, there were also a lot of comments of people saying, "I seen this truck in Aberville," or "I seen this truck in Gunnersville," or whatever. And so I commented back to a lot of those, just being
Yeah.
like,
So tell people that they get a 10% discount on a service call if they post a picture.
There you go.
yeah,
Hey Ted, that picture you sent me of the other heating and air company, was that with the Florida area code? Was that in Greenville?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't all the way to Greenville. It was at the supercharger right
So
around the
like
corner from where those so
those Teslas were.
yeah, where those Teslas were for test drives. And those
Mhm.
are self-service test drives. There's no Tesla store there. In
oh
fact, they
wow,
don't even have chargers. Apparently, the Tesla employees go once a week and take the trucks or take the cars from that parking lot over to the supercharger, charge them up, and then bring them back.
Huh.
hmm,
And there's one like that near here too, in Rock Hill, where you can
hmm,
go test drive a Tesla touch free, and it's in a hotel parking lot.
that's
They
pretty
just
cool.
have 2 spots that are dedicated for the Teslas to sit, and you can even you can launch a test drive from the barcode in the window. So,
Hmm,
and
interesting.
that's kinda interesting too, because, let's see. Huh, where was that? It's not showing up in my I gotta go to well, I'll find the picture and then I'll share it. Um, but so that people can see it's so simple. If you want to take a test drive of these cars, you can just sign up for it or just find out where they are and go over there. And if the cars are there, you could probably sign up and take one out.
Yeah, That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
I'd like to go try that just to see what it's like. I mean, I know you're just gonna have the Tesla app. You're just gonna walk up to it, get in it like you normally would if you had it. But still, just to walk up to a random car, you just get in it and go, oh, let's just go test drive it.
Right.
Well, I guess.
Go ahead, Reedy. Let's do a debrief
Yeah.
of Reedy before he goes to bed.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. We can get into some stories. See if Reedy's got something.
I do. I got a few stories. I'm sort of bittersweet end to last year. I was $9,000 away from $2 million.
$9,000.
Yeah, and then Saturday I went and sold a green speed for $24,000. Awesome.
Awesome.
Not this Saturday, but the Saturday. When did the year end? Was it on a Friday? The 31st, because it was the next day. I said, "How come you didn't do it yesterday?" Well, I just didn't. I didn't have time, and so okay. Free quote, awesome. I love the free quote process. I've had 4 leads this year, sold 3 of them, 2 green speeds and a crossover. And I came home late tonight. I had another free quote. That was my 4th one, and I think he's going to get a crossover. So that was cool. Is there any way that we could share this report? There's some things I'd like to say.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me stop sharing, and then you should be able to share.
So you have to tell me what to do.
Go to present.
Okay. And then share screen.
Share screen.
Okay.
Pick the window.
Share screen. Okay. Right here. Can you see that? Yeah, there you go. This is what I just did today. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's some things that I noticed about the free quote that I wonder how difficult it would be to change. I don't have any problem with this section right here. That's fine. This is great.
And
I wonder,
by the way, you're going to be able to see the range of the green.
Say that again.
That's going to change so that you can see the range of the green.
Oh yeah, yeah. I wonder if there's something that we could do about the duct pressure. On it, I don't know if I guess I never really have understood this. Why does it go past? Why does it show in the thing 1.5 when you're doing the measuring, and then but it doesn't show 1.5 on here?
That's a good question. I guess we'll ask Eric, and I think Friday I'm going to be with you.
Okay.
And so if you can block out 10 a.m., you, me, and Eric can have a meeting together.
Okay.
And talk about this stuff. When I was with Tanner, we had a meeting with Eric, and that was extremely helpful for Eric.
Good.
So yes, we definitely, all of this is going to improve, and your insight is going to help it also.
Good. Well, that was really, there's that.
So go down. Are the install choices and equipment choices working for you?
Yeah. I'll tell you what happens. I don't really care to show the monthly rate on there. And
We're gonna
a lot of
change
times
this.
I pull the humidification rate out of the humidification.
Yeah, we're gonna change that too,
What did you
because
say?
it's gonna be a range. We're gonna reflect the install choices and equipment choices. It's gonna get them to budget range so that
Okay.
you don't have to do estimates. The idea behind the free quote now is that our free quote process starts out with helping you build your ideal replacement specification, but you
Right.
may decide that after you get it, that you wanna get additional bids. And what we found is through not only sleeping on your specification, but also getting bids from other people, your 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 ideal replacement specification may evolve and change some. And then on top of that, there are corners that other contractors may or may not be cutting, and you wouldn't understand that from the bid because most homeowners aren't aware of the importance of changing the line set, changing the disconnect, changing the whip, changing the pad, all of these things. And we view those as cutting corners, and we are not averse to cutting corners when we do your install, but we are adverse to cutting corners that you aren't aware of and you haven't approved.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Right.
I'm glad to cut corners on your install, but I'm not okay cutting those corners without your knowledge.
Right.
And so what we'd like to ask is, as we help you through building this ideal specification and narrowing in on equipment that's gonna fit your budget, that's why we do a range, because we don't wanna have to redo bids 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Putting together a bid takes a fair amount of effort and time, and we've found that most people in the beginning, they wanna narrow in on their price range, and it's much easier to give you a range so you can narrow in on your specification, and then do one bid. And so what we'd like to do is come back when you're ready to finally make your decision, help you understand why the bids aren't apples to apples. And then if you're okay cutting corners, we can give you an apples to apples bid.
Right.
Or if you're not okay cutting corners, help you understand what corners those bids you got have built into them. I mean, you don't want to make a decision because they cost $500 less and find out that you got significantly less value and durability and longevity because of these corners.
Right.
I mean, if you want to reuse a line set, we should do an acid test to make sure it's not acidic, and then also clean the existing line set. And both of those are things that we would want to have a conversation with you about if that's something that you're looking to save money on. And there may be some things that my company won't allow. Some corners my company just won't cut. And
Right.
and I understand if you decide, like, sometimes I'm dealing with people that they just want the cheapest, and, I may not be able to match a bid. And by the
Right.
way, when you share the proposals or the bids with us, you can hide the price. If you feel you don't wanna share that with me, I totally understand. You can go ahead and hide it. But I can go through the proposal without the price and then build my bid. Does that feel fair to you, Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner?
It should feel fair.
If it doesn't, then you save yourself even doing a bid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what you really don't wanna have happen is you don't want them to take your bid and shop against it. Because
Right.
if they use your bid to shop against, then your chances of closing that job go way, way down, because what they're gonna do is they're gonna get to the bid they like and say, "Yeah, let's just go ahead." And,
Yeah.
I mean, really, you're basically not gonna get that job, and so there's no point in going to the trouble of putting together a detailed proposal.
Yep, that is
And
right.
Tanner is gonna have a story about how that poignantly impacted him after Reedy's done with what he's gonna tell us about. So, you were t did I answer most of the questions here on how the free quote's gonna improve? Likely load is gonna be in here. In the entry of where you put likely load, um, you won't have to bounce all around and run the report and then go back to the entry screen. You'll see a preview of likely load right there where you enter the numbers, because sometimes you may want to adjust the numbers a little bit just so that they make more sense to the homeowner. Like you might
Mhm.
want to round your likely load so that it more clearly distinguishes, by the ton.
Yeah. Yeah.
Depending on what the load comes up. Because here, I'm looking 128 and 60,000. Your likely load range is 88,839. Now, I mean, you might have just wanted to go and 25,444. So you might have wanted to just go 24 and what would it be, 92?
Yeah.
And then the 15, you might have wanted to go, what is it? What's half a ton? 16 is
18.
1.5.
18's 1.5.
18, sorry. Yeah, I haven't had enough sleep. 18 to 60, because that would make more sense to a homeowner, depending on how you feel. But
Yeah.
that
Well, usually the way that I go through this is I just I talk about the red, and like
okay.
this guy, it's 89,000 BTUs, and you've got 128. What the red means is it's the worst possible house you could have, and yours you have way more than that. Why do you think that is? And that's the way I do it. I'm up
And
for whatever way. Um,
well, so the other thing, I think, if you're looking at this likely load, you say to people, if you're gonna lean into the yellow, there's a really good chance your ductwork doesn't have the capacity for that size anyway. So you're not really getting any beat duct. And the way I'm experimenting with explaining this to homeowners is, have you ever used a low flow shower head?
mhm.
And if they say no, you say, well, these low flow shower heads restrict the flow of water to your shower. And so it doesn't matter how much water pressure your house has, your 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 shower has terrible water pressure with that
Right.
low flow shower head. And so you're only going to get the flow of your most restrictive point. And that's true with the ductwork too. If the ductwork only allows a certain amount of flow, that's all the BTU your equipment is going to do, and the rest of it's going to go out to inefficiency. It's going to get lost up the flue, or the compressor's not, going to run too hard, or whatever explanation you'd want to explain to them. But really, you want to take that low flow shower head and get rid of it, because that'll give you a little bit better flow. Use a better shower head, and that would actually be a good conversation when it comes to the filter, because the filter and the return drop tend to often be the low flow shower head in this conversation. And then the ductwork is secondary. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, for the most part, especially if they're using a high efficiency filter.
Right.
quote
Right.
unquote high efficiency.
Right. A high efficiency 1 inch.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah. So when are the changes going to be made to this? Because the only reason I said anything about this is because if you take anything off of this part right here, it makes this part come onto another page. And
I think there is going to be a lot of improvements in the short term to that. And then going forward, there's going to be more improvements.
yeah.
So I think it's going to happen in steps. But let's talk to Eric about that on Friday.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing. I just wanted to show you those kind of things.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it's also awesome you were able to screen share.
I know. I can't believe
Fun,
it.
right?
By the way, if I can't see that thing right there, that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not acting weird or anything. I know I got a green star on my head, but
Oh, well, we can't
it's
see it. Oh, yeah.
because my daughter, she said that I had a red spot on my head and she wanted to help me. So she said, "Take it off before you go to work," and I forgot about that after I got in here. So cat's out of the bag.
That's and it helped, didn't it?
It did.
It helped you.
Yeah. So no, I am looking forward to this year. I'm getting better at the videos where I show them, and
Okay.
how I do how I do that whole conversation about the likely load range and all that stuff. So I can't wait for the new stuff, the new format or whatever it is that's going to come.
Smoothly.
I had a great year last year. I ended up with 60, almost 63% for my closing ratio. Even with junkie calls in there. And
Okay.
I can't wait to see what happens this year.
I had a talk with
What's your goal this year, Reedy?
My personal goal.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked that is because they set one for us at the company. I want to get more than 2 million. I mean, I was so close, and if I'd have had, they were short on their leads for me. So
what was your total number of leads?
211.
211. Now I talked to Ronnie, and he thinks out of his leads, and I think his leads were a little bit over 500. But he thinks that probably about one a week is not really a lead. It's not really a sales opportunity. It's more like duct cleaning or some kind. He's also, as part of his job, so
Damage control.
he's damaged. He is damage control. He goes out, and when there are callbacks that can't get solved by the technicians, he's sort of the expert that comes out and fixes the problem. And that is part of his job, but it's not part of his sales job.
Right.
And those are getting counted as leads sometimes. And he thinks it's about one a month. And his revenue per lead is impacted by that. It's actually probably 10% higher than what they report. And he'd like that to get cleaned up. Now, his sales manager has said she absolutely understands and agrees, but with 500 leads, it's too hard to go through them. So it's not going to get fixed for last year. And I suggested he ask her to just remove 50 and then recalculate. So we're going to have, and the same thing happens to Austin. If he does a lead in 1 month and does the sale in the next, that I think the way Service Titan works is it counts that as 2 leads. And since he's mostly doing comfort consults, there's a 1 to 2 week lag between when he does a comfort consult and when he presents and does the close. So there's a fair number of his are also misrepresented.
Because he might do one in the middle of the month and then goes back on the first of the next month, and it gets
Yeah.
counted as 2
After the
leads.
middle of the month,
Yeah.
all of those are probably getting double counted.
And then some of them, may, comfort consult, it might take 3, 4, 5, 6 months, a year before they
That's right.
buy. So
That's right. The other thing that Austin shared is when he goes out and then talks to them about how long the report's going to take, he also schedules the revisit. And I think that that's going to have to be part of the free quote in order. And I talked to a couple of people about this, and they're more than happy to go back. And in some cases, you don't have to go back. You can just have the meeting over Zoom or over the phone. But if you are either way, you still should schedule that go back when you're at the house. He's found that saves him a lot of time in scheduling, and it seems to have improved his closing ratio.
Yeah.
So
what's your goal? What's your personal goal, Reedy?
2 million.
That's it.
That's
And
it.
you're at 1.99
Well,
this year.
you don't
depends
understand.
on leads, though, right?
You don't
So-
even understand. I got 250 leads last year, and I got 211 leads this year. So
So if
Then
he
what-
gets 185 leads next year, getting 2 million is a pretty big reach.
Yeah.
yeah, and I'd like to have my real thing is I want to have my revenue per lead be 10,000.
Yeah.
Average revenue per lead. It was like 9,400. I know that if I can bump that up a little bit, just a bit, then I can make it.
Yeah.
So
get
if I knew I was going to get like 250 leads, like if I'd have got 250 leads this year,
You're gonna 2.2 or better.
yeah, something like that. So
Well, here's
I don't
cheers
have a
to
lot
a
of.
good, cheers to a good year.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm very happy about that. Not happy about the number, but I'm happy about the end number.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. 10,000 or damn near 10,000 per lead.
Yeah.
That's good.
What's that free quote? That's what it is. It's the free quote and the Lord,
Right.
That's it. I'm very thankful for that. Thank you, Ted, for creating this.
So I spent last week with Jason Trammell, and we had a great time. And
I should have gave you a heat and cooling services hat so you can get that off your head.
send me one if you want me to wear it.
I'll have to send it to you. I should have gave it to you when you came to the shop. But
You saw me wearing this.
Missed opportunity.
I don't pay attention to outfits.
Well,
really
no.
don't. Like my
So-
wife, my
Well,
wife's
that's not
like,
true.
does this look good?
You guys were all wearing appropriate outfit, lettered equipment or clothing. But what I did notice is none of the trucks has anything on it. No phone number, nothing.
Right?
I found that to be interesting too.
Yeah.
So Jason's business, they don't advertise, and they don't even advertise on their trucks.
I used to have some magnets that I put on the truck, but I don't wash it enough. So when I do take it off, it's like, it looks stupid. So I don't even use them.
Yeah, and what I found with those magnets is you need to put PPF film. Otherwise, for a work truck, who cares? But
Right.
dirt gets a little bit behind them and grinds into the paint.
Yeah.
So you need to get PPF if you're going to put a magnet on. You saw that magnet on the back of my car. There's
Yeah,
PPF under it.
The one that says you're a beta tester or whatever.
Yeah. I got a couple of Trump magnets too.
See, I don't look at outfits. I only saw the one because it was yellow. I don't look at outfits. It just goes right over my
Please
head.
have patience. I don't know how well that works because some people were pretty impatient with me the other day.
Well, you got the gas to. All you got to do is step on the gas on that thing, and it'll go.
Yeah, yeah. Jason Cecil drove it the other day too, and
Oh, did you find him?
yeah,
Did
yeah,
you?
yeah.
You
So
show up at his work?
showed up at his house.
Oh yeah. Did you take a picture of the look on his face?
I did. His wife drove it too.
Cool.
Yeah. So I got Tesla grins out of both of them.
Nice.
And
How
I
is
spent
Jason
today.
Cecil doing?
He's doing good. I think he's in a really good place because he's learning sort of things that happen at the supply house, and he's got really nice guys he works with.
Yep. That
But
company that he's working for, I know
Mhm.
several of the guys that work there, and they're like, it's the best place you could ever. And all of those guys, they jumped around from supply house to supply house, like most every guy that does that works at supply houses. And they've been there. They've all been there for quite a long time.
That's the thing. They get employees. They get good employees, and the good employees stay. So they must be doing something right. You have any sense of what that is?
It's they're good. I mean, they stand behind their stuff, and they have their contractors back. So
And they don't micromanage.
yeah.
So one of the things that we going to the supply house has been helpful for me because I understand some of the things now at the supply level.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ideas we came up with today was so Jason has brought in all of the tools that you need for Measure Quick, but he hasn't sold any. And so I think what they're going to do is put together some kind of a banner
Mm-hmm.
that says any equipment install that is commissioned with Measure Quick, send us the Measure Quick report. If it's installed within specifications, you'll get 3% credit towards your account.
That could work out good.
And then the other thing he's doing is he's holding classes.
Yeah.
So he'd like to hold a Measure Quick class. I don't know if he could get anybody from Measure Quick to come down and do a class. I mean, the
Well,
supply house has
he can.
26 locations, so you would think they might want to build it's a good supply house, as you said, Jason. They could get to 26 supply houses,
Yeah,
and if
you can actually. He could actually get certified, Measure Quick certified to do the training.
well, what I think they might even do is if you attend the training, you get 4%.
What is the supply house he works for?
McCall's Supply.
I know McCall's, yeah.
Everybody knows McCall's, and gosh, you guys are a long way up from each other, so it covers a good part of North and South Carolina then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I used to work at Fayetteville, they would buy from McCall's.
Okay.
We bought from McCall's a couple of times years ago.
And it sounds like the Rheem bottom of the line heat pump's pretty nice. It's like 2-stage cooling, 3-stage heating.
Yeah, when Ream Rude got the whiff of things changing with the Sear 2, they went all in and completely redesigned all their stuff
Well,
instead
and
of
so
just making
if
what
you
they had
size to the
work.
green or you size to airflow, you got pretty good range on the ductwork.
I went to a guy's house today. The guy, that free quote report that I showed you, he had a 5-ton unit, and I just did a quick cool calc load because we have to,
Right,
and
right.
it was 34,000 BTUs in cooling.
Okay.
and I mean, his static, his duct is buried inside of concrete. It's just
Oh, so
encased.
that you
Oh.
ain't improving that.
No, not at all. And I just went to the far reaches of the house to see if it was blowing air, and it was. And the most remarkable thing is that the air was the same temperature at the close part as it was the far part.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Less than
that's
1
surprising.
degree.
So
Yeah.
it runs. It runs
Yeah.
for long run periods.
Yeah. And so he he's got that 5-ton in there, and he said it's just loud and noisy. And I said, really? I said, yeah. And he said, yeah. And he turned it on, and yeah, it was noisy.
Yeah, I wonder why that is.
Yeah.
And so when we checked the static, I was surprised the static. It was 0.58, and I was surprised
Yeah,
that
that's
it
not
was.
too bad.
No, I was surprised it was as low as it was. I think that it's because that return duct and right where the supplies come out, because he's got a trunk that shoots out, and he's got duct that goes straight into the concrete. I think there was quite a bit of leakage right there. And I think that's the only reason, because his return static was like 0.42. And I'm like, what in the world? So I said all that to say that I told him, I said, you're, according to this likely load range and according to this cool calc, you're way oversized and you need to head to the green. And he said, well, I don't want to go too low. I said, it's up to you. You're the guy, this is your house.
Right.
And he settled on a 4-ton. That's where he settled, from a 5 to a 4. And he's going to go with the crossover. So, he'll be somewhere around, on low stage, he's going to be somewhere around 2.5 tons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a shame.
It is, because he could have got a green speed and rolled with it, but he said, no way, Jose. And
how much more would you have had to pay?
$8,000.
Okay, so it was a big lift.
Yeah, he just couldn't. He couldn't see it. Wasn't going to do it. And
how much would it have cost for a 3-ton crossover?
A 3-ton crossover, if he'd have gotten that, I think it would have cost about $1,100 or $1,200 less.
Okay.
So
and there's no way to put resistance heat on a crossover?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If that's too bad, because if you were able to put it on, then he might have not felt so worried.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did. I got it on the 4-ton, but he's in it. First of all, he told me he had mold, and it's not mold, it's
You
dust.
can't do reheat with the.
No.
You can't do reheat, but you can do resistance.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So he was afraid of not having enough cooling capacity or not having enough heating capacity.
He was afraid of not having enough heating capacity.
But if you could put the strips on it, why is he worried?
He didn't want to pay for the strips to run. So
right, but they come in. This, I think, is a misunderstanding a lot of homeowners have. Is in the past, heat pumps often were set up so that they would shut the heat pump off and go to 100% strip. And so they don't understand that the way to properly set it up is that the strips stage in on top. So you're only using a little bit of strip heat and most of it's the heat pump. So I don't think you really see that much of a big bill jump.
Well, I don't know of anybody who's ever had who's ever turned their heat pumps on when the heat pump who turned the heat pumps off when the strip's on.
That's commonly done in the north.
I mean,
It's
I
way,
see.
because
yeah,
go
way
ahead.
back, way back in the day, like, I don't know, 70s. That's how they were set up. But
I was
heat
born
pumps,
in the 70s. That's
heat,
way before me.
But
heat
that's
pumps have came a long way since then,
right.
Yeah.
But
and controls.
also mindset stayed in the 70s. The
Right.
mindset's still in the 70s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the
I mean,
people installing it,
I mean, there is, even on modern controls, there's an option to lock out the heat pump at whatever temperature and run
that's right.
certain
And
auxiliary.
so people have been taught over and over again to lock the heat pump out. And
Yeah.
so then they get this reputation of being expensive to heat with. And I think that reputation is a fallacy. I think it's a fallacy built around the fact that most of those heat pumps that were very expensive to run shut off under 35 degrees.
Yeah. Well, and there is truth to that, because if you look at a normal 2-stage or a normal single stage, they're losing capacity like mad
They're losing
at
capacity. That's true.
35, 36, 37, 38.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
other
that
thing. They
yeah.
do lose capacity.
Whereas
Hey,
that crossover at 5 degrees, it's still putting out 46,000.
Right.
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
no,
Well,
he wasn't
Hey,
going for a
yeah.
3. He got scared of that, and I said, "Listen, it's okay. You know,
So
you pick. It's
it's
all
going to
you."
be so much better for him anyway. Sounds like he has a little bit of a moisture problem, and he knows this may not solve it.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. And I offered him a dehumidifier, and he just
And he said no to that. So he's been
yeah.
offered a client.
I haven't even sent him I haven't sent him the report. I haven't sent him the proposal. We just went over the report, and you know, it is what it is. It's okay.
You already made the sale. You probably don't need to send him the report, do you?
Well, no,
Just
he
give
hasn't
it to
bought
him
yet.
and
He didn't buy. Yeah,
oh, so you probably do send him the report.
yeah. I'm gonna
Take
send
one
him.
more
I told him I'm gonna send it to him tomorrow.
take
So
one
we'll
more take one more swing at the 3-ton.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if he goes from 4-ton to 3-ton, he's gonna save enough that it more than pays for the strips up front.
It's
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
the ductwork's in the slab,
Yeah.
so there is a lot of mass there to heat up and cool off before it.
Well, it's so weird because he didn't understand the concept of running the fan and mixing the air. There's literally no reason for him at all not to run the fan. I mean,
Right,
especially
'cause there's no duct leakage. It's in
yeah,
concrete.
it's in concrete. I mean, and
yeah.
the concrete is thick. I mean, it's not like 4-inch concrete or anything like that. It's thick. It's feet thick. And so,
But it's blowing warm air, so it's whatever.
yeah. I'm
Well,
I'm gonna give him that last shot at it, and it's up to him. I just if he wants to go for it, let's go for it. Let's make it happen.
yeah.
Mhm.
Which I'd like to see what you think, Reedy, on this in terms of like in that situation where you're offering the crossover, especially when they're leaning towards the 4-ton when they probably should go towards the 3. I kind of feel like in terms of offering the dehumidifier of that being more like that's probably ideally to be a negative reverse, because if he's already there, he's only getting the crossover, he's probably already budget conscious, and so then it's kind of like as a means of offer declining, being like, hey, like just want you to know, I know you're not going to want it, but I have to offer this anyway. I've got this whole house dehumidifier, but you're probably just going to want to buy your own dehumidifier and just get you a couple to make sure you keep it at 50% humidity. Is that right? And to
Yeah.
kind of, lean on that. How do you typically go about that? And what do you think?
Usually, what I do is I tell him, you've got this. One of the 6 functions is dehumidification, and so how do you want to go about doing that? Are you interested in that, or do you just want to let it go? And I wait. see what they say. And then they tell
Okay.
me, well, I want it. Okay, great. Well, then we can either do it this way. If you really want this crossover, you need to get a dehumidifier. That's going to be $7,000. Or you could look and get the green speed and kill kind of two birds with one stone. Which do you want to go? And then either what they say is they're either going to say, I don't really want the dehumidifier, I'll go pick some up, or I want the green speed. That's it.
Okay.
I'm along the same lines as what you do, because if they're really, really cheap or budget conscious and they just can't see it, let them go buy some 2 or 3 dehumidifiers and empty those things for a year, and they'll see. They'll know.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I definitely want to make it a point to be like, it's on you to make sure the humidity stays in control, and here's how you're going to do it. You can DIY it. It's perfectly fine. Just go ahead and buy a couple and see if that's going to be enough. You may have to buy a couple of more. You may have to do 1 or 2 per room. Who knows? But that's just what's on the table. But and I always that's where I kind of negative reverse it about. But just so you know, like for me to do a whole house dehumidifier, I mean, they're expensive. You're going to spend like $7,000. How many portable dehumidifiers could you buy for $7,000? Sure,
Right.
you're going to have to change it every day, and it's probably going to be a little cumbersome, but you're going to save a lot of money. So that's, kind of lean it into there to kind of have them. When they take that, they're taking it fully knowing, hey, this is going to be cumbersome. I'm going to have to buy several, and I'm going to have to, it's on me to make sure the humidity stays in check.
Yeah, because the other thing about it is those things take power. They do take draining. They've got maintenance. They could break. You pick whatever it is you want. You're gonna, at the end of it all, the cost of it is going to come close to where we're heading towards this.
Oh yeah.
And it's, like the other day I had a lady. It was about 2 weeks ago. I had a lady that she called me out there. She wanted me to do comfort consult. Did the comfort consult. It wasn't about equipment for her. It wasn't about anything for her, except for she said she needed to stop her husband's feet from cracking from the dry air. So when we talked about humidifiers, really good humidifiers and what they do and how they work and all that, on the second appointment for my comfort consult, what she said is, bottom line, I'm not spending no $3,500 on a humidifier. I'm going to go and I'm going to get me some of them portable humidifiers, and that's the way we're going to deal with it. And I said, man, that is great. I said, because, you'll figure out if you need more or not. Just know you need to get like 3 or 4 of them. You're going to have to clean them. You need to empty them. You need to do the things that need to be done. Yep, I know. And the funny thing about it is she, right now at this point, she thinks she's winning. She thinks she's winning over me. This is a customer I took from Todd because he's lazy and didn't offer it from the beginning. She thinks she's winning over him because he offered her some stuff, but not all of it, and stopped when she kept on doing this kind of stuff. And so I did too. I just said, listen, here's the offer. This is what you kind of said you wanted, and she's going to go get those things, and I hope it works. We'll know come this week because it's going to be really cold for the next 5 days.
Yep, it is.
Well, guys, I hope you can see my eyes. I look Chinese.
Thank you for coming, Reedy. Nice to see you. I'll see you tomorrow or the next day.
See you guys.
I'll
see you soon.
I'm headed north.
You have a great evening.
Love you, bro.
Have a good one. We'll see you, Reedy.
See ya.
The biggest problem I have with
with
selling like electronic air cleaners, humidifiers, dehumidifiers is the amount of maintenance that they take and the amount of maintenance I know they're not going to get.
Well, the funny story,
and
Tanner, you're going to like this.
With whole home dehumidifiers, it's like they don't last any longer than the Lowe's ones do. I mean, evaporator leak. Like you spend $8,000 on a dehumidifier, and 2 years later it's empty.
Mhm.
Trammell was replacing a package unit with a split unit on Monday, and I was there. And the guy said he's going to close up the hole that the package unit went through himself. And he understands that he needs to close this hole up. But then we walk around the corner to the hatch to crawl into the crawl space, and there's a hole this big with screen stapled. I don't know why they cut a hole in the door and put a screen there. Probably because it used to be a vented crawl space, but all the vents are sealed up.
It
So
was
they
probably
sealed up
their
all the
failed attempt at dehumidifying.
and he's got a what kind of dehumidifier?
It's a Santa Fe under there.
Yeah, the Santa Fe
Oh, wow.
dehumidifier right next to the giant hole. And of course it's like 40
Just-
degrees
yeah.
outside. So
It's just running its brains out.
it's running at 40 degrees. Like
And
he
we
didn't even set. I don't
and
know.
we installed a humidifier because he wanted one.
Oh, and he wanted a humidifier. What, right?
Good Lord. Maybe he should just put the humidifier next to his dehumidifier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll create some heat for him.
Yeah.
Well, I guarantee. I mean, I hooked it up, but I guarantee you it'll never call.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So I thought that was funny because it's a similar It's like same thing. He had to redo the ductwork and all that for the split system, just like you're going to be doing next week.
Yep.
I guess those yard furnaces real common down here, even in nice houses, because both the house that Tanner and I went to and the house that Jason and I were at were nice houses.
Oh yeah.
And I think of those as mobile home units.
Yeah. Well, for me, they're super common. There's some areas where it's probably 80% package units, and which the reason for it, and I know Jason knows this, is all you're doing is connecting ductwork, so you're able to use lower skilled level people, and you can just go, hey, run this store-bought snap lock pipe that you put together and wrap in insulation and screw it together, run it in. You got one person to go, wire in a few wires, and it's ready to turn on.
Yep.
And so because of that, they can do more, they can do them faster. And, the choice of things currently is all encompassed on the contractor. They're installing whatever, as they give a price, somebody says yes or no, and then they just install whatever they had in mind. Whether
It's low trained employees
Yes.
too. You don't have to have
Oh,
a
yeah.
highly trained employee to install it.
And to be honest, to work on it, you don't have to crawl under a house.
Yeah.
Oh, and servicing.
Yeah.
You got to service it more,
Everything's outside.
but it's easier.
Well, the biggest thing, I mean, package units would be fine as long as there's just not very many options. You've got like 14
Yeah.
SEER and 16 SEER, 80% furnace. That's it.
Or super expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's really not many
I
options.
think Carrier has an Infinity package unit.
There's not very many options high end.
There's not. There's only one inverter option, which is Bosch.
Yeah, and I probably wouldn't install that.
Yeah. That's the only option, and it all like all the reasons why those get used a lot just all ties into the same thing, because
It's cheap.
it's cheap, but one of the big things is the less technical the person is going to be, the more appealing the package unit is going to seem. Because like for me, if someone's like, hey, I have to have a package unit, the very first thing that's coming to mind for me is, you do realize duct design wise, that's going to require really large duct work, because you're going to have the longest total equivalent length using a package unit that house could ever muster.
Yeah.
Split system simplifies the duct system, which simplifies the total equivalent length, which reduces the size needed. But if you're not doing design and you're throwing your ductulator on 0.1 and calling it a day, you're not going to know any of that. You're not going to see some of those pain points. If you're not selling anything above a single stage, all you're seeing is positives for package units, which is why they're so common.
Yeah. I'd say probably 50%. I don't know. It might not be quite 50, but close to 50% are package units on the
Yeah.
residential.
Yeah. The only, especially new construction for me now of what I see, unless the house is on a slab, it's almost always package unit.
Yeah. Almost all of our new construction now is on slab, and it's a single stage Goodman or a Lennox with
Yep.
his own system.
Oh,
2-story, straight garbage.
yeah. Well, down here
Probably worse than package unit.
yeah,
80%
yeah,
furnace.
yeah. You're right. Usually,
So
if
you
it's a,
guys are both in very similar climates.
oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, really, our only difference is just going to be the number of heating to cooling days ratio. I'm going to probably have a little bit more cooling days than you're going to have a little bit more heating days.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. There's not that many heating days here.
Yeah.
It's mostly cooling. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the exact amount, but I mean, we're 4.5 hours from the beach.
Oh, there he
Hey,
is.
Grandpa.
Man,
Hey
what's
guys.
going on?
Oh, just a heck of a time. I don't
Living
know.
the retired life.
Well, there's that, but yeah, let's see. My mother died a couple of days before Thanksgiving. Karen, my wife's mother, fell.
Mm,
So yeah, we've had our hands full with a lot of things.
Mm.
But I
sorry
did
to hear that.
out for a well, just a blower door test on a house a couple of weeks ago. So
Did you say your mother died?
Yeah, his mother.
Yes.
He's elder
Wow.
care for his father and his mother-in-law.
died. Yeah, dad's mom and dad are same age, 97.
Wow.
Yep.
I'd say that's a good full life.
Yes.
And he's training his son how to do sales.
Yeah.
His grandson. He's training
Grandson.
his grandson how to do sales.
Next door.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Go over and do a blower door test on his house in a while. So yeah. Plus, I've had to adjust medications, and anyway, that's not what you're here for. How'd things go tonight?
Good. Reedy was here.
Oh, good.
He's got some questions about the free quote process in the software. He's got the free quote process really dialed to the point where he's gone from selling 30% comfort consults to now he just sells like 2 to 5% comfort consults. And he was what, $17,000 away from 2 million on around 200 leads. So next year it's his goal to break $10,000 per lead average. And I think he's going to keep better track of the leads that aren't really leads. They're like duct cleaning or troubleshooting.
Yeah.
Turns out all the people that tend to be interested in HVAC20 tend to be the best techs that whatever company they work for have, even if they're in sales. And so the companies end up leaning on them for the unsolvable problems, solving the unsolvable problems.
Yeah.
So, and then I met Jason's father, who's really a wonderful guy. I think so. Tell us the story a little bit about your foray into home performance. Was that something that you brought to his attention or a salesperson brought to his attention?
No, I brought it.
Okay. Well, so he's a very open-minded guy because he leaned into it and he understands the whole home performance thing. And he would like to help us figure out how to fix the free quote so that the Todds Todd is the other salesperson that Reedy works with, and he mentioned him.
Mhm.
Make it so easy that Todd can use it. Actually, make it so easy that Todd feels stupid not using it. And we're a long way from having it be that easy of a process, but we talked a little bit about some of the things, like having to jump around to get the likely load range. Oh, there's a lot of steps right now, and it's confusing where you got to go in the software and how to run a likely load range and see how it represents. And so all of that, we're going to have it so it's all just in one place, and you just go through it you don't have to go out here and then come back there. And and also the install options matrix or chart. What do we call that?
Smiley face chart.
Smiley face chart. Okay. The smiley face charts will be much more robust and reliable, so that you don't have to print out the preliminary screen. When you do go to report, it'll hold. The report really needs to be great, and it needs to work great, and it doesn't, and it isn't. So, anyway, that's sort of, it's great. This is our first meeting of the year, 6th day of the year. So I'm sort of giving you the goals for this year. This year, we're going to have that sorted out, I hope. And so how is your grandson doing?
We haven't been in constant touch.
He's busy with his new house.
The busiest part is over with. They've moved in. We installed some new lights. They painted the whole thing. We resurfaced a couple of wall and ceiling areas.
Renovation
test is on the near future, so we can identify things, and this will be the first he's seen of one. He knows what it is, and in fact, he was the one who
Sold
gave
it.
reference for the blower door test from a couple of weeks ago. 100-year-old house, 914 or 970 square feet, 2,700 CFM 50.
Where's the leakage?
Crawl space basement, which has it's not sealed. In fact, stepping down into this small basement area, I could look within 20 degrees and see the two foundation vents that need to be closed.
Lots of daylight.
That's a stair. Yeah, it's a typical basement stairway that does not have a good cover. So it's all coming through there.
Okay.
At least, and the woman was how to put it? She knows that the house the shell needs attention, but she has no concept of how extensive that is. I tried to impress that upon her and showed her with thermal imaging, even with these two hinged doors that cover the stairway, just how bad it was at that point. So
how's the attic?
Didn't even look. Yeah.
Okay.
I've adopted Nate's stance. I won't even poke my head into the attic.
How was the thermal imaging of the attic and the walls?
The ceiling has been insulated, but I showed her
Some deficiencies.
Yeah, thermal imaging. I didn't want to go too deeply with thermal imaging. Just wanted to show her that anything that penetrates the ceiling is a problem.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the duct system is the furnace is in a bedroom, vertically up into the attic, and then overheads. And I showed her how the leakage just around the fittings was affecting things. So
Okay.
she's got an idea that she's got a lot to do.
Can lights?
Yes, in a few places, not all of them. The kitchen had been redone, so that had can lights. So that was everything that you would normally expect. We found.
What were her comfort complaints?
Honestly, we didn't even get into comfort complaints. This is preliminary to having sent the report to my grandson, and then he asked, since he is using Cool Calc, he asked what's the ELA. So I had to step back and look that up. And the typical formula, I think, was just multiply the CFM50 by 10. So it was a 2 square foot ELA. Equivalent leakage area.
Doesn't Cool Calc have an option for ELA or CFM50, or it just you have to convert it?
It's whatever my grandson was using. So he'd asked for that. I said, okay, I'll find that for you.
All right, I'll find it.
Yeah.
So he's really doing the report.
Yes. Well, he's using it for the load calc for the equipment. She needs equipment.
Right. Okay.
So there's.
So you
like
did
she's
sort of
getting
an
100,000
abbreviated
BTU
comfort
furnace.
consult.
What was that, Jason?
So it sounds like she's getting 100,000 BTU furnace with that leakage rate.
And a 5-ton heat.
Yeah.
So we need to make it so that some of this stuff in the free quote is also in the comfort consult, and then eventually we move the free quote to above the comfort consult, so that, because you need to go to likely load range, I think, before you go to load. Because it would have been nice to have a likely load range for her.
Yeah. I did not even look at her equipment. I was there primarily for the blower door test.
Okay.
And a little bit of thermal imaging.
So
So
your grandson knew what he wanted and he asked for it instead of doing a comfort consult.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So he just needed to do a load calc with infiltration for permitting purposes.
Permits? What are those?
That's what I say.
Yeah, we don't have permits here.
So he just wanted it to be accurate then.
He wants to be accurate. They've run into a couple of situations where they'd replaced some equipment and only afterwards found out that the homeowner wanted to have a cooling setting of 67 or 68 degrees.
Right.
And let me see, they had a finished stairway going up to an interior door for the attic, which had all kinds of leakage.
Yeah.
And they were able to, in fact, they came to me to get the thermal imaging camera after the equipment had been installed.
Do they understand that that's not really useful without a blower door?
They were just looking for things that they could attribute the shortfall to.
Okay.
Because the new equipment wasn't maintaining 67 degrees.
Gotcha.
And of course, with a fiery red interior door at the top of this stairway, and
I see what they're doing.
I did at least do a true flow grid test and determined that they'd actually gotten the blower setting pretty close, but the ductwork was wrong. So they actually sold. They didn't have to.
They sold the right equipment
of some duct improvements in order to help the customer get what they wanted reasonably.
Gotcha.
But they're starting to become aware that, equipment replacement doesn't fix everything.
Right. And And I think you've been working on them for so hard and so long. I have
Yeah.
no criticism of the fact that you don't say, look, you need to do a comfort consult for this. And if you did free quotes, you'd be avoiding it also.
Yeah.
Because a free quote would have avoided those problems.
Well, I've got to stop. Yes, the free quote has a question about thermostat settings
and likely load range and
Yeah.
the duct work.
Well, they came pretty close with the equipment size, but there were just so many other things that were not right that it wouldn't do it. But
Yeah.
at least that's an instance where they've gotten the chills from are we going to be held responsible for this, or can we roll it back over to the customer?
Yeah, to the envelope.
Yep.
Okay.
I am hopeful that when we do the blower door test at our grandson's house next door, that he will then become aware of all of the many places where you can have infiltration that you would never suspect it.
Well, also, hopefully, he'll become aware of the comfort consult questions.
Yes.
And how important the questions and building the relationship with the homeowner through that process.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish Reedy was still here, because he would tell you, and well, Tanner will tell you that 6 functions video that Nate did is, you show that to a homeowner and every single one of them seems like, or 98% of them, is extremely grateful for that education. And so you have to actually say to them, okay, so this is a 4-minute video. And whether you watch it with them or you go do your measure quick stuff, while they're watching it, you come back and they're just like, oh, okay. I want this to be more like my car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly.
definitely. The only time, I mean, I could definitely imagine you would have some of your customers who are just extremely disinterested. They're just, I'm looking for another box and I just want the cheapest person who's willing to swap said box. But the ones who actually care, those are the ones that those are the ones going to be appreciative. They're going to actually watch it, listen to it, and be like, wow, they're going to be the ones that's actually wanting to get the best they can afford, not just the cheapest thing possible. And so, if anything,
Yeah.
it kind of helps with that selection process, like how, if they watch the video or if you get them to, however they react to it, kind of tells you a good bit. They're like, okay, this is someone who actually cares, or this is someone who doesn't care at all.
Yeah. So don't bother with quality. Talk to them about price.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And in those scenarios, it's like, okay, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like what you're really looking for is just the cheapest thing that is physically possible. Any corner we can cut to save costs, that's what we want to do. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Get them.
Yeah, you want those jobs too, right?
Sure.
Particularly if they tell you, yeah, go ahead and cut corners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You just want to know that up front.
Yeah, I'm here to do, this is your house and your money. I'm here to be directed by you. And I'm also here to educate you so that you understand the consequences of your actions.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we're pushing an hour and 20 now.
Yep.
So Tanner, when I was with Tannery, I got to fire the honey badger.
Oh yeah, he did.
And and I'm thinking about it now, and I would love it for you to show it to us.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want you to explain things like the red dot, explain things like the flashlight, and the suppressor.
Okay.
Is that
Uh,
okay?
yeah, it's fine. I'll have to run grab it real quick. So,
Okay.
uh,
Mhm.
y'all just chit chat for a bit. Let me run grab it.
Okay.
So, Ken, is your son's house a renovation or is it a new construction? Or your
Renovation,
grandson?
grandsons. And in fact, it's, I've got to think back. It's older than our house. It was a house that evidently was located elsewhere, and the university bought property, and the house was relocated.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Nifty.
Surprisingly, in looking at the county auditor's website, it received a D plus grade as far as the quality of the house, which I didn't see at all. We've known the neighbor for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
We've been in the house. She's made some improvements, a metal roof, replacement windows. Over time, none of these were
Right.
urgent things.
So do you get hail?
Rarely.
Okay. Does
Very.
hail take out the roof?
I don't think so.
We've never had hail of that size.
Okay, because where I am, they had a big hailstorm and it took out a lot of roofs. And so I was wondering if that's also true for metal roofs. I think metal roofs probably withstand hail better, correct?
I
Yes.
think they do than shingles for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a metal roof is a pretty significant improvement.
Yeah, and they're usually 50-year roofs. And I mean, it's
Yeah.
nothing. So
So that it's weird that it's a D.
I think it had to do largely with the age of the house,
Okay. And
Had
that
been
it was moved maybe.
not necessarily upgraded, but really they've painted the house. It looks wonderful inside. And who knows how these auditors base
right.
grades on things.
Oh, that's good. You got a lower tax bill, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, Tanner. So one of the things that was interesting to me about this gun is it took a fair amount of effort to get a permit to buy the gun. And then if you look at at the end of it, that suppressor is also a whole nother like
Yeah.
year and a half long permit process.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So
Legally.
well, yeah, so Tanner's done all of this stuff legally.
That's why I
Um,
can show it on YouTube.
that's why you
Yeah.
can show it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't show my illegal stuff.
That's in the back room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Those got lost in a boating accident.
Right.
And then he's got a red dot. So he's done some upgrades besides the suppressor. So you see there's a flashlight there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you hit somebody with that flashlight, even during the day, they're going to be dazzled.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
So I have a feeling that the flashlight is probably as powerful a deterrent as the whole rest of the gun. But anyway, and then he's got a sight and a red dot. And so you can flip the sight down. So you just have the red dot. But if you want a longer reach, you flip the sight back. And that red dot is about the most amazing and simple crosshair ever because it basically shows you exactly where the thing's going to land. Except if you have to use the sight and you're using subsonic rounds. If you're using subsonic rounds at a distance, you're probably going to want to shoot high.
Yeah. Well, so with any sights, you sight it in at a certain yardage. And whatever
Okay.
that yardage is, that's what's going to be your true zero. So,
Gotcha.
so like, let's say for easy math, if you sight something in at say 50 yards, if you're closer than 50 yards, it's not going to be exactly right. It's actually going to
Okay.
be hitting lower than where your dot is at. If you're further away, well then or I said that backwards. If you're closer, it's going to hit higher than your dot. If you're further away, it's going to hit lower in your dot. So you have to kind of compensate for that. Granted, with a red dot, you're typically not shooting very far out. Like this whole setup is a shorter distance. I mean,
Yeah.
really, I mean, I'm not really intending on getting any further out than 150 yards with this setup, which is why I have it set up this way.
Somebody's got to be on your property.
Yeah. Because I mean, this is definitely more of a close quarters setup. I mean, the magnifier is for that if I were at say 100 yards or something. Because I mean, this is for the gun people. This is an aim point T2. It's got a 2 MOA dot on it. So 2 MOA dot. It's basically the size of the dot. The smaller the number, the smaller the dot. And the 2 MOA, you know, I mean, it's a pretty fine dot. So the magnifier helps at longer range in order to hit what you're shooting at easier, or for identification, because this is a pretty small compact dot, so you're not really seeing. I mean, you got a good peripheral vision, but it's not the most open. There's definitely some sights that, like an EOTech, that's going to have a bigger sight window open up versus just this small little window. Even if I pop that up, like, you don't have a whole lot of view through. So that's what this gives you, is a little bit better picture at distance for identification, that sort of thing.
So if you're not interested in guns, I apologize, but I found this whole thing pretty interesting, and having the opportunity to talk to somebody who's really an expert and at a very high level is also really fun. Because otherwise, when's your opportunity to learn all of this stuff unless you spend a couple thousand hours learning about it?
Oh yeah.
All the seasons of NCIS.
Right. I don't know that gets you much.
Gibbs.
And then he's got targets in the back, and I was able to ping him. I was happy I didn't miss.
I didn't take you as a
didn't
shooter.
miss all the time. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Next time we're gonna have to have a nice little drill setup. We'll bring out the shot timer, start putting you on a timer, see how it goes. Do a little running and gunning.
A little stress going.
Oh,
do some Matrix game plan, LARPing. So, all right, we are well over an hour now.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys for coming.
Yep.
Great to see y'all. And
Enjoyed it.
I'm really hoping that it's been very frustrating how slow it's been with the free quote process, particularly since it's been working so well for those of you guys that have leaned in. It's just been too hard for people to pick it up. So I think with your help, we'll figure out how to dramatically simplify it so that people can learn it.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys will all be my gun experts when it comes to this is exactly what it is and where it is and where we're missing. And, don't buy the wrong red dot and don't buy the wrong flashlight.
Yep.
All right, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Good.
So you got.
All right, everyone.
Let's
Thanks for
end the
coming.
stream here, and we can chat a little bit offline.